uh, had this idea. Um, the oh, I probably have talked about this. You probably don't know. Planet Side 2. And what does Planet Side 2 and karaoke and VR have in common? It's practically impossible to guarantee accuracy. You cannot sing in unison in karaoke on a VR in an VR shared VR environment like Altspace. This is well known. There's a game called Planet Side 2. It's a massively multiplayer first person shooter, the only one in existence pretty much. It was created it was created for the Sony platform. Well, it was created for the PlayStation platform. They also had it for the Sony platform. And it is highly addictive, but one of the big problems that everybody complains about is that inaccuracy in CQC, and the reason why, or close quarter combat, the reason why close quarter combat is always a bad experience is because it's impossible. The latency is just too great over the internet for to have any amount of accuracy of battle between people in a close quarter combat situation. When you think you've shot your gun 7 times, what's actually happening is the client is watering down your interaction, and the server is doing an assessment of the possibility you that you'll ever take out the person that you're taking out. It doesn't track all the bullets. Is my guess. What it does is it determines the effectiveness of you being able to kill the person that you're aiming at. So in your mind, it's the gun or it's the bullet's fault. The reality is there's way too much latency over the internet for CQC to even be accurate. It's a lie. The company makes money off of people's incompetence in the area of understanding that the internet is not a that for some things the internet's good, for some things it sucks, and the latency is just too great to have accuracy in karaoke and close quarter combat in a video game. If you want an accurate and experience like that, what you do is you have a LAN environment. And given that VR headsets and companies are probably going to start doing business, say over Altspace or something like that, or you know, they're going to be distributed, and there's major concern for trade secrets and secrecy and things like that. And with that, you need better secure environments. You need um, places where people can go to get the secure environment, and they need the devices to do the secure environments. So basically, what you do is that for every one of the people that are in your business, you give them this custom Wi Fi device that they hook their VR headsets to when they go to conferences. And this custom device, there's probably a way of doing this that I'm not aware of, but this custom device, it's kind of like it could be your cell phone. It could be just, in fact, it probably is your cell phone, a hotspot. But then an application that works on the hotspot, so the application that works on the cell phone that actually encrypts the line by which you connect to other people to guarantee that, and you connect to a company server that creates a shared VR environment, and in by doing that you're able to guarantee no eavesdropping from the server that you're going through, because there's the great potential if you, and it really depends upon how important the secrecy is. If the business that you're running doesn't demand secrecy, you don't need this. But if you're dealing with trade secrets and patents and copyright and special um, proprietary stuff, you're going to have to come up with a better secure environment for people to meet, and you probably have to have those people be present, and if they can't be present, create a secure connection environment with your own servers, and so that you are relatively have your engineers have maintenance people there to make sure that there is um, that that there's plenty of authentication and validation and all that stuff, so that when your employees come together to discuss private stuff in a remote environment over the internet, that there is no eavesdropping. There's no chance for eavesdropping. That's the only way that's ever going to work. And you can do that a number of ways with VR headsets. One is by probably, and Oculus needs to think about this. Um, they can always give you a policy and say that we'll never eavesdrop on your stuff, but how much are you going to trust Facebook to that? I mean, the legality is still a potential threat that they could eavesdrop on you at any time. You can't you can't trust policies. You can't trust legality. You can't trust the government. You can't trust Facebook. The solution to that problem is to come up with a VR headset that has its own operating system, that is an open source freeware operating system that everybody is complicit in trying to maintain, is highly secure. Then, uh, and I probably use complicit wrong, but they're highly secure method of connecting people by VR and using those VR headsets, and they could be very simple. They could just be cell phones with a special displays or whatever. You can hook a cell phone to a special, like an Oculus Go or something. That you really don't need full hand tracking to have a VR environment. You can have a simple Oculus Go, and it actually would be in your best interest to use 3DOF and not 6DOF. 6DOF is really just people want to play video games. I mean, you can get away with just 3DOF. So 3DOF with security, um, I wouldn't suggest the Oculus Goes because they don't have adequate cooling. Somebody just comes up with a really cheap VR environment based off of some really cheap and accessible um, uh, and commonly available cell phone. And the old Apple i6 phones are probably the best because of the Retina displays. And so the Retina display kind of becomes your viewing environment. And the reason why you want a VR environment and you don't want Zoom is that Zoom has the tendency to make people tired. You can only handle about a half an hour to an hour of it, and you will fall asleep or you'll lose part of the discussion unless it is intense and exciting, which it won't be. So the thing to do is get everybody uh, cheap VR environments and come get a secure server client system set up and have people meet in VR, because VR, people don't fall asleep easily. I mean, they can, but it tends to be much more entertaining, and it tends to be much easier to keep people's attention in VR. And and people can interact in VR better than Zoom. Zoom, you're dealing with everybody. How are you going to talk to your friend apart from everybody else that's in that environment? I mean, you probably could, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be as. It's not going to be as easy. It's not going to be as convincing as a VR environment, and so I can guarantee that it's not going to be as convincing as a VR environment. So it is in your best interest to try to get, and this is the future. VR is the future. It's the only. I mean, people need to get involved in trying to get this to work. And the flip side to that is VR, not with a VR headset, but VR with you can use an iPad like it was an VR environment. You just hold it up and you look. You can see everybody in the room because it's got a compass and it's got an accelerometer and all that stuff. You could use it for a VR environment. You wouldn't even have to have a VR headset. The applications need to exist, and you can do augmented reality with it. I mean, people do that with Pokemon Go or whatever. So why are we still like using Zoom and stuff in order to interact? Why do we need that? We don't.